Welcome to the Sports Marketing Machine podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Neisser, the podcast for those working in sports looking to level up their marketing skill set so they can sell more tickets, sell more merchandise, and grow your fan base. Today, very excited to welcome the Travis Apple from Logitix, the Chief Revenue Officer, and also the host of the very popular 52 Weeks of Hustle podcast. Travis, welcome to my podcast.
Jeremy, thank you so much for having me. It's always fun to be on the other side of this. So I certainly appreciate you doing this, you providing this podcast to give back, and I'm excited about our conversation today.
Speaking of giving back, you've been pumping out 52 weeks of content to help those who are just getting into sports continue to grow and develop. What got you started to want to create the 52 weeks of podcast, 52 weeks of hustle podcast? I suspect a lot to do with giving back and helping people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I've always had a passion for of giving back, of helping train, develop. And, long ago in college, I thought maybe one day I was going to be a media person, chose a different career path, obviously. And throughout that process, was sitting down with a mentor of mine, and, I thought about doing a podcast, started doing a little initial research. This was February of 2020. Started taping a couple episodes, and the world shut down. Launched the first couple episodes, and it was a perfect opportunity from a content perspective. And that's kind of taken off. I have such a passion for doing it. I've had so many great guests, and it's just an enjoyable thing and an opportunity to give back.
You're well over 200 episodes, and you've spoken with folks from the highest level of sports to folks who are just a few years and are sharing their story and their journey. What are some of the biggest takeaways that you've heard that really could help folks that are just trying to break into sports and kind of get going, or even level up their skill set so they can continue to grow and develop?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first one is easy is the podcast called 52 Weeks of Hustle, and it does come down and be successful in this business. Are you willing to hustle? Are you willing to get after? Are you willing to work your tail off? I think another thing is it comes down to people. A lot of the common theme of the 52 Weeks Hustle podcast, it often talks about the value of people. And I'm a firm believer, people lead, everything else follows. So money, title, responsibility, between just understanding the value of mentorship. Many of my guests talk about how they found a mentor early on in their career, or mentors, and it's really helped catapult them to very successful, kind of career journeys. As you think about like little things that go a long way. And those can be as granular as like a handwritten note. Those can be as granular as like, how do you start an email? Is it just getting right into what you need? Or is it like some pleasantries? I think another thing is it's been really unique, and from a unique perspective of having guests from a variety of different verticals, different teams, different leagues, different companies. And I think that's a big thing too, is like, don't get caught up in, you and I talked about before we jumped on here, we both grew up huge Baltimore Orioles fans. I don't know if I'll ever work for the Baltimore Orioles. Not that I've never had an interest in doing it. It's just never had an appeal to me where it's like, I just want to work.
Yep. That's right. Well, you mentioned mentorship and employees growing and developing and learning. Obviously there's lots of podcasts out there. There's great YouTube videos, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be yours or my podcast. It could be others where you're growing and developing. But how do you find mentors? That always seems to be one where you just don't know what to look. You don't want to come across like you're needy. Like, how do you find a good mentor to help you grow and develop and speed up faster?
I have no idea what's going on.
Me either. I'm going to edit it. So we'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll just keep going. So
sorry, I have no idea what's.
I don't get it. So let me ask the question again, and then I'll edit it together.
Okay.
So you mentioned mentors, and we talked about developing and growing. How do folks find a mentor? And I know it has to be a two-way street. You have to give a little bit. You got to be able to. But if you're always just looking for what's in it for me, it's not going to work, right?
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. It's got to be a two-way street. I think I hear so many people that, maybe coming out of college or early in the business, well, I'm going to find a mentor. And that goal of theirs is, I just want to like pick that person's brain and just like take. And there's not the give. And, now you might be sitting there listening and saying like, I'm a college student, or I'm my second year in. How would I give anything back to a vice president of sales or a vice president of marketing? Well, there's a lot of different areas. I think that's, as you think about your cadence of outreach, what are you reaching out? You may come across an article or some sort of promotion or opportunity that it's just a quick, hey, I noticed this was in the newspaper, really innovative, cool technology. Like, not every time you're reaching out do you need something. So I think it's staying in constant
Mhm.
contact. I mean, and you're probably the same way, Jeremy. Like, the amount of people, I get a ton of people reach out to me and they want to pick my brain, and then you don't hear from them
Mhm.
for 2 3 years, and then it'll be a follow-up like, hey, not sure if you remember, but I could use your help when. Mentors, it's got to be
Mhm.
that, it's that relationship based, right? It's not transactions. And so what are you doing? And if look, any successful person is open to new ideas and new learnings. So you may
Mhm.
come in with a mentor call of like, hey, I've thought about this, or hey, I saw another organization did this. Is that something you guys would consider? Why or why not? I'm trying to understand, that landscape
Mhm.
of, and your overall decision making power and process as well.
It totally makes sense. Oftentimes, students get a little bit nervous about, "Hey, I'm looking for a mentor, but I don't know what I can provide." And oftentimes, it's just keeping in touch with them without asking for anything, right?
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
When you think about
Speaking of,
a great
yeah.
mentor, like, they want to surround themselves with really good people. Like, if you find a
Mhm.
mentor early on in your career, the best solution, like, if I'm a mentee of somebody, and like, is if all of a sudden one day I get to hire them because they're going to make my
Mhm.
organization better, which ultimately makes me look better as well.
Yeah, and you already know, like, and trust the person, so it just
Yep,
makes it so much easier, so much easier.
exactly.
Um, I'm in the marketing business. We're helping the ticket teams. We're giving them data. We're helping them, bringing them leads. We're filling the funnel for lots of leads for them to be able to sell more tickets. Now, what I hear oftentimes in talking with college students is, I don't want to do sales. I don't want to get on the phone, make sales calls. I started as an intern in Hickory, North Carolina, making 120 sales calls a day, pulling tarp, rolling hot dogs. Like, there's so much value to learning how to make sales calls. But why is it such a, for lack of a better term, a dirty word?
Yep. I think it's funny, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people over my career in life, and I think when you think about salesperson, everybody automatically thinks of what industry. It's typically car, right? I'm a used car salesman,
Mhm.
and I always kind of say this, as a true salesperson, you should never look at yourself as a salesperson. You should look at yourself as a true consultant, because there's a
Mhm.
difference between consultant and salespeople. Salespeople are kind of that used car salesman, motto that you go to the lot, they come out, they try to sell you that lemon, and then as soon as they're done, they sit in the back, smoke heaters until the next schmuck walks on the lot. Right? That's a salesperson. You're
That's
just trying to
right.
push, push, push. Where a consultant
Uh-huh.
is one that, if I'm trying to sell a product or value proposition to you, Jeremy, I'm trying to understand your needs. It's a
Mhm.
needs analysis. It's wants. It's why you may be considered, who, what, when, where, why, right? And then you truly consult with them to provide that value proposition. And I think if people just looked at sales the right way, I think too many people
Mhm.
look at like, you know, maybe I would never have enough money to afford season tickets, so I can't sell somebody season tickets.
Mhm.
Well, like, we're not talking to you. You are finding and understanding the needs of that person to truly bring them together. And so, yeah, I mean, sales gets a bad rap. I always say, look at it on the other side is, from a sales perspective, you have the opportunity to make as much money as possible. You have the ability to grow careers a lot quicker than typically other verticals of
Mhm.
business, because it's, kind of sink or swim industry. Now,
Yep.
I say that, like, right, I would love to tell everybody till I'm blue in the face, sales is amazing. I know sales isn't for everyone. Some
Mhm.
people can't do it. Some people can't, deal with rejection. Some people can't deal with the uncertainty of it. But I think that's why, there's always people who are going to be hiring salespeople. And what I always say, if you can sell something, you can sell everything.
That's exactly right. I always found that the more I did sales, the better I was at like understanding people's perspectives and hearing what people are saying and understanding their lives a little bit more, just so you can connect with them a little bit more. And it
Yep.
felt like, hey, if I wanted to be the commissioner of a college league, or if I wanted to be a marketing director for MLB, whatever it is, like having that perspective, you just get a better understanding of what how they're using your product, why they are coming to the games, and you get that much information, it just makes you a better marketer. It makes you a better XYZ, whatever it is. So I love the sales side of it. Failing is just part of it. You're guaranteed to call someone who's
Yeah.
dead. You're guaranteed to someone that moved. Like that's part of it, right?
You're gonna get kicked in the teeth a little bit, but yeah, to your point, and that's what can make you right. Like the best salespeople
Mhm.
are the people that can get rejected 100 times, but they're still passionate and excited on that 101st phone call.
Yep, that's right. There's that old quote, Babe Ruth, "Every strike brings me closer to my next home run." So we just
Yep.
keep swinging, baby.
Yep,
Love it,
exactly.
love it.
You
So
got to
let's
get
pretend
in. You
yeah.
got to get yourself at bats, right? You want to make sure you give yourself at
Mhm.
bats, which comes into like that hustle and effort. Like you got to be willing to get yourself enough swings to be successful.
Absolutely. So let's pretend I'm a new marketing director. You talk to teams all over the country, NBA, MLB, Major League Soccer. You talk to everything from the highest level to even the minor leagues. I'm a new marketing director. I just walked in the door. I'm sitting down with you. I'm saying, okay, Travis, what are 3 things that I can do to put some wins on the board that will make me look good, but also make your life easier? What should I do?
Yeah, that's it. That's a good question. I think as you sit in that marketing chair, I think one of the first things is making sure you have budget and resources to immerse yourself in the community, right? Of
Hmm.
getting out there to festivals, to events, to just showcasing that opportunity of immersing yourself in that marketplace and having your sales presence. That's going to help your sales team members because they're out there, they have logos and branding behind it. I think the second piece is ensuring that you've got kind of that email journey campaigns. If I'm in the sales chair, I'm asking that marketing end of like, okay, we have some of these single game buyers, let's call it. What's that email journey to ultimately get some hand raisers? Because sales is
Hmm.
tough because there's a lot of cold calling. If you can get some hand raisers that show initiative, and so I think I would really challenge that marketing person of like understanding the full scope of those potential buyers. Which kind of leads into that third one is, are we able to take some of those hand raisers and some of those opportunities to truly lead score?
Hmm.
So now I'm not just, when I started in the business, there wasn't a ton of lead scoring. I'd be calling somebody,
Hmm.
I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, working for the Hawks and Thrashers. I'd call somebody in Montreal, or I'd call somebody in San Antonio or San Francisco. And it's like, you can't sell them a season ticket package. They were a
You're
single
not
game
buying.
buyer. So how do you take all that in to lead scoring where now you're just bettering your sales
Hmm.
staff and team members that you're calling the leads that have the propensity to buy and to buy
Hmm.
more. And so I think those are the 3 things: immerse yourself in the community, making sure that you've got a thorough email journey, which kind of leads into being able to lead
Hmm.
score on a consistent basis.
And that begs the next question because I often hear this email doesn't work anymore. I argue that it's the highest ROI. Do major league teams, all these other teams, they still use email and it still works, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's always on a variety. Like if you're looking at a single game buyer and you're producing out to 100,000 people, yeah, an email from a return on energy and return on investment is going to be the easiest way. Now, I
Hmm.
will say, and you hear people like, oh, phone calls are dead. Like the only way you're getting business done, there's still very few people that are emailing their credit cards over the phone, right? A lot of this is going to pick up the phone and most importantly, get face to face. And I look at whether it's email, phone call, text, whatever, maybe your main goal is to get face to face. Going back to that consultant
Hmm.
approach, you want to get face to face with
Hmm.
somebody to truly understand where there's opportunity and need.
Absolutely. I think these are such great takeaways if you're just getting started or you're in year 2 or year 3 as a marketing director and you're just getting your feet under you, you feel confident in what you're doing. If you do those 3 things that you say, hey, here's our new email campaigns that we're doing, what it's going to look like to warm up ticket buyers. Here's some budget that we're going to allocate to get out into the community and then work with the ticket sales team to be able to get them lead lists of people. I think you do those 3 things, you're going to really put yourself in front of a lot of other folks and set up your team to be successful. So 100%.
Absolutely.
You're
It's
in
all
the,
about
you're
differentiating
yeah,
yourself.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's all
Yeah.
about differentiating yourself. So, are you doing the little things that go a long way?
Now you're in the ticket business right now. You've seen ticketing from a lot of different teams from all over the country. Let's talk innovation. What excites you? What's coming for ticket sales? What does it look like? Are teams
Yep.
going to start taking Venmo, like random things, but just like wanted to pick your brain and hear what it's going to look like in the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this could turn into a 3-hour podcast, right? Because there's so many unique things. I think as I think about the future of ticketing, right? And you've heard it a lot, is what is that flexible opportunity and option? Because, maybe it's not somebody going to every single game, but what are those flexible options? I think one of the biggest things that's continuing to get enhanced is what's that overall 365-day kind of model? Whether that membership,
Hmm.
season ticket, like what's that 365-day where you're not just buying tickets to a game, because you can buy tickets everywhere. It's what are those other
Hmm.
experiences that organizations can potentially offer. And so I think, and I've talked to teams a lot about that, of just investing resources and budget and time to draw that overall experience, because at the end of the day, there's so many different ticketing outlets. You can always find ways to buy tickets. There are certain experiences that
Hmm.
you can't buy. And if you think about the future of ticketing, right? And that's no different. Grow up as a kid, you're probably in sports. If you grew up probably watching sports and being a part of that, I think. And then, the in-game, in arena, in stadium experiences are always something that's going to come. I mean, you think about, now there's in legal states gambling, right? That can be done,
Hmm.
in the arenas, in the stadiums. And I think those things are just going to continue to evolve. And that's why I say, if you're not willing and continuing to evolve, you're going to get passed, whether that be an organization
Hmm.
or an individual as well.
Yeah, these experiential opportunities, the more and more teams create those, the better fan experience they're going to create, number one, and the more tickets they're going to sell, number two. So I 100% agree with you. I love the fact that more and more teams have started to move towards this digital approach. I used to love keeping the tickets and saving them. And hey, I
Yep.
remember going to this game, it was great, but now it's all digital. We want to make it. I think Amazon has made it so easy for us. One click and something shows up on my front porch. And I think
It's
that's the
here.
direction a lot of teams are wanting to head towards. How do we make it super simple for folks to do business with
Yep.
us? And oftentimes, as you look at ticketing softwares, or you look at people's even website, it makes it really hard. So I think that's another good point too, that I see ticketing softwares are starting to, we got to make it easier for people to buy from us. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, it's the path to least resistance. It's a smooth reaction. It's a smooth transition to get people to want to do more, which kind of goes back to the marketing, right? The email journey campaign. If it was an easy process and a good experience, they're much more likely to come
Mhm.
back or buy again.
Yep. And that's one of the first things that I immediately notice when I work with teams is, all right, let's take a look at your emails. Number one, do you have emails? Do you have email software? That's like the check one,
Yep.
check two. And then what do your campaigns look like? Oftentimes it's like 4 blocks of text and no one's buying. Keep
Yep.
it simple,
Exactly.
short sentences, and an easy buy now button. So uh, we're starting to get closer to the end of this, but I want to give you an opportunity. Let's talk about your book. I see it over your shoulder there. This is a book that you've wrote. You've got available a lot of different platforms. So give us an understanding of what it's all about.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. I think similar to the common theme in this podcast, right? We talk about, you wanted to give back, which is why you have the podcast, why I started the podcast. Same thing on the book end, and as I was going through college and like many people, trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do in my life. And, I landed in a sales role. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to go about an interview. My first day, I remember even calling my grandma after I got accepted and saying, like, "Hey, I'm moving to Atlanta." She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Selling tickets." She's like, "What does that mean?" I don't know. And so, I really wrote this book, Hustle Your Way to Success in Sports Sales, as really a blueprint to be successful, from crushing your interview to prepping for your first day to when you get in the business to then enjoying the journey, and kind of steps away
Mhm.
of just a quick, easy read. And I've been very fortunate. You've been released for a couple of years, have sold way more copies than I ever imagined. And I think, again, not retiring on it. But it's been so good when people see it or come across it, like, this really helped me land my first job, or this really helped me. And I was able to get promoted because I applied some of the tactics to my day to day. which has just been very fun and really a cool part of the process.
That's marvelous. I remember when I was getting towards the end of college and I was thinking about working in sports and getting an internship, I picked up a couple books just like yours. How do you break into sports? Who should you reach out to? All of those. And they were, I mean, 10, $15, probably similarly
Yep.
priced as yours, but it was so helpful to kind of give me a running start. So I think this
Right.
is such a great opportunity for you. And where could they buy it? I'll
Yeah.
get some links and I'll put them in the
Buy it
show
on
notes.
Amazon. Yeah,
Amazon, everywhere.
Amazon, anywhere. Yep, books are. It's there's a
Yep, love that. I think that's the area where you continue to shine is just showing up every week and helping people and whatever level they are in their sports industry to be able to hear like, hey, there's people going through the same things or have gone through the same stories as you. Here's some things that they did to overcome it. Here's how they continue to advance. So I think your podcast is marvelous. Just appreciate everything that you're doing for everyone in the sports industry. Absolutely.